Alright guys, this is going to be the comic book slash magazine haul that I got for the month of December 2012. And I'm just going to get them, put all this stuff in the order that I got them. Talk a little bit about them. Okay, first up, what we have here is Hulk, Heart of the Atom. It's a trade, hardback. I'm going to send Oddfellow Thoughts a shout out right here because everybody knocks on their hardbacks. Anyway, this reprints a whole bunch of stories from the Hulk. Hulk 140, 148, 156, 202 to 203, 205 to 207, 246 to 248, and What If 23. And the original title for this, where they got Hulk Heart of the Atom, where they're coming from here, it's called The Brute that Shouted Love at the Heart of the Atom. And the first story in it introduces Jarella. That's the yellow-haired, well, the blonde with the green skin. And basically, all these stories sort of tell the story of Jarella and the Hulk. And Jarella was the girl. She was more or less a queen of a microverse in the Marvel Universe. And her magicians casted a spell on the Hulk so that he would understand their language. But what it did is that it kind of gave the Hulk Bruce's brain, Bruce Banner's brain. But as I read it, the way I read it, it didn't just make it Bruce's brain with the Hulk's body. It did that thing where they were one. They merged. And what is so special about Jarella, besides being a Harlan Ellison creation, is that she's the girl that Bruce and Hulk both, even when they were separate, both were like, oh, it's Jarella. I guess, Betty will have to just get along on her own. They were willing to ditch Betty on the spot to stay with her. And all kinds of great talent were on these. These were covers by Dave Cockrum. I think this should have been the cover, to tell you the truth. It's the cover to Hulk 202 here. And, you had Lin Win, Sal Buscema, I can't believe I'm going blank. Herb Trimp, Sal Buscema, Lynn Wein, Harlan Ellison, Roy Thomas, Archie Goodwin, Bill Manilow, and Peter Gillis in all these stories. Got this for a steal on eBay. It had free shipping. And what was so funny is I just made the list to try to buy all these comics. And that's where this one had come from a couple months ago. I was starting to collect them. And I'm just fine with the trade. Alright. I didn't buy any comics there until I don't know, a day or two before Christmas, probably Christmas Eve. And I walked in and I saw my file where I hadn't been in there in a while. And the comic book guy, I told him, I said, I'll get 2, 3 of these comics and then I'll come back and get the rest after the beginning of the month. He went, nope, you're taking them now. Merry Christmas. So I got all these for free. Thank you, Daryl, very much. Very nice. Only Christmas present I got this year, to tell you the truth. All right, now J. Michael Straczynski did Night Owl. And this was just a complete waste. This is 404, and it was like, I don't think this comic Night Owl was such a waste. It was like some throwaway Batman story that he had, or he made me wonder if he even read the Watchmen, because there's so many elements of the story that don't fit in with the original Watchmen. Yet, when he turns around and does Dr. Manhattan, J. Michael Straczynski, this is phenomenal. It's like he polarized himself. He had the worst miniseries for before Watchmen, and he had one of the best. One of the best, not the best. And this is just an amazing story, 3 or 4 of Dr. Manhattan. Okay, then, another guy who has polarized me, Brian Azzarello. This Rorschach miniseries, 3 or 4. Artwork is phenomenal. I don't know where Azzarello is going with this, and it's not, he's writing a character. This would probably be a good story if it wasn't Rorschach, because he's not writing Rorschach. But you turn around and Brian Azzarello is just knocking it out of the freaking ballpark with Wonder Woman. I finally picked up an issue because it's the New Gods. And if there's no glare on this, that is Orion's helmet with Wonder Woman coming at him in the reflection. So far, I'm alright with the New Gods being updated, but the characterization, I want to see where he's going, because this does not feel like Orion. I could do a whole little video probably talking about the New Gods, the Kirby the Kirby creations, but this Orion so far is coming off like a pretty boy, and he's real calm, and he doesn't seem to have that rage that like he has that berserker warrior edge ready to come out at any time. It's not there. He seems to be together. And Orion was a warrior, almost like just a zealot ready to go at the drop of a dime. You just didn't know if he was going to fight or if he was going to just go nuts on you. But the Orion I remember, it was always like do or die. He wasn't going. You just weren't into a fight. Orion would just go until he dropped, if you could drop him, or you were going to drop 5 seconds before him, and then he might let himself go to one knee if it was that big of a fight. So far, that's not the Orion that they put in here, but we'll see where it goes. But as a real, first issue of Wonder Woman I read, really enjoyed it. All right, this is a After Kirby cover. Somebody did a little homage here. This wraps up the great Star Trek: The Next Generation with Doctor Who. The Borg and the Cyberman more or less teamed up, and we had our Matt Smith in our Star Trek: The Next Generation with Patrick Stewart. Kind of teaming up here, and great series, great little series. Got this for free. Justice League. I heard a lot of people talking about Justice League. It's definitely a different book. I don't know if I agree with the dynamics of the team, but I'm not going to bash it because it wasn't awful. It's always made more sense for Superman and Wonder Woman to be together in my mind than Lois and Superman. Even though Lois and Superman, when they first started out, it was phenomenal. I'm talking about all the way back in the late 30s. But I've never really seen what Superman sees in Lois. I'm just used to hearing Lois and Superman. It makes more sense for it to be Wonder Woman and Superman, so we'll see if this is going anywhere. Alright. Green Lantern, The Rise of the Third Army. I've always, up to this point, have liked what Jeff Johns has done with Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps. From Rebirth to Sinestro War to the phenomenal, I absolutely loved Blackest Night, but this makes no sense. Basically, the Guardians have gone after the First Lantern to get his power to create a new army to bring down the Green Lanterns and all others. What the big plot hole is for me, though, is that why don't they just turn off the power battery and all of the Green Lanterns are wiped out? They won't have power. They've done it before, and that's the big plot hole. So just with them not acknowledging that in some way, fashion, or form, this just seems mute. It's like the story has a huge plot hole from the get-go. So moving on. Ethan Van Sciver's art in this is really, pretty good. I enjoyed it. But Ethan Van Sciver, I'd rather just enjoy his work, and I hope I never meet the guy because from Facebook and some friends that met him, he's pretty much a jerk. Now we come up to the great Steve Ogden. He sent me a package of some great stuff. Got these probably about 2 weeks ago, maybe. But anyway, we got Chris Robinson and Alex Ross on Mask #1. That's where Dynamite pulls all the pulp heroes they have, more or less. They were probably radio stars and stuff like that back in the 30s and 40s. And you got Green Hornet, Kato, the Shadow, and Spider, the original Spider, coming together, and there'll be more. And this was more like an appetizer for a first issue. It really surprised me by how short the story felt. It was like it was just kind of starting to get going. Definitely probably have a trade in mind the way they're writing. And Beyond Comics is his comic book shop, so this is some sort of exclusive that was made for that comic book shop. Alright, he sent me The Monster Unleashed of the Hulk, some stories and reprints. Spider-Man, Black and Blue. These were probably reprinted stories and things like that was building up to a storyline that was probably getting ready to come out. All ages. Well, no, I'll take that back. That's what these are. These were probably retelling the history leading up to a story arc that's getting ready to come. Spider-Man Saga and the Wolverine Saga. And then he sent me this, which I'm real curious to read because it's got Marv Wolfman, a great guy from the Teen Titans, and Howard Porter, who I know him from his Flash work in Justice League with Grant Morrison. DC Universe Online Legends is the final battle, so it's, obviously this is not in continuity. And I can't wait to read that. Then he sent me this. Now, I'm going to try to move on here because we're already 10 minutes in the video. But this is the Silent Invasion. Now, in around 86, 87, I know Crisis was going on. Well, no, that's not right. Oh my God, what year was it? 86, 87, I walked into a comic book shop. One of my first times in the comic book shop. And you had 2, 3 guys in the back who kind of had this feeling like they were unappreciated scholars, and they had that, what I call the 80s D&D look. They had the curly hair, they were a little bit overweight, and they had their t-shirts that were just too tight, and you had those 80s light blue jeans that were just too tight, and they had their high tops, and they were all scruffy looking, and had those big 80s glasses and stuff. And they were all sitting around, they were reading this book, and it was just the first issue, and I don't know, and I never found it again. It was the Silent Invasion, and they were acting like this was the thing to read. Well, I couldn't find out anything. You didn't have the internet back then, and I couldn't really remember what it was called. But I remember the concept was that this takes place in the 50s, and this was years. It even says in the back of this what it put me in mind. I read the book, and I'm like, you know what this reminds me of? And then it also said that in the back of the book in some prose, the X-Files. This kind of set up in the 80s what the 90s kind of went towards with the UFOs and conspiracy theories and stuff. Well, that does this really well in a period piece set in the 50s with, the Red Scare was going on with the communists and stuff, and he thought maybe, there's some aliens out here, out in the desert. Are they aliens? And is his next door neighbor a communist? And is the lady that walks into his life, is she, what's her connection, everything, that kind of thing. Kind of a film noir feel with the 50s sci-fi. So I really appreciate Steve sending me those if you followed any of that story, but I never found out what it was, and they reprinted these in the late 90s in Caliber Comics. So, he sent me a bunch of them. Now, I knew about this issue, but I didn't know there was more. So I just couldn't believe my mouth dropped when I opened the box and figured out what it was. And actually, I was so confused on what it was. If you look at this art style, when Powers #1 came out back in 2001, 2000, by Bendis and Mike Avon Oeming, I thought it was this. I was like, oh, they brought it back, and I started flipping through it, and I put it back. So I had Powers #1 in my hands and put it back because it wasn't this. Anyway, so, great art here. Here's #2. These are from Caliber Comics. #3. #4. I can't wait to read this. It seems like that's a nice thick one. #5. That's a great cover. And #6. Looks like it's a Christmas issue. And then this is also what else he sent me. He sent me some great Charlton issues of Scary Tales #35. And, I was not a Charlton fan, and I have made fun of this company more, not made fun, but chuckled here and there about this company, made little jokes and stuff. And this horror stuff, the Scary Tales, the Ghost Manor, oh my gosh, from the 70s, what Steve Ogden's been sending me, man, has made me a believer in Charlton Comics. Here's Visit Ghost Manor If You Dare, #61, Ghost Manor. That's just a great cover for the 70s. And this looks like a Ditko cover. Ghost of Dr. Graves, the mini ghost of Dr. Graves, #32. Hopefully there's not a glare on there. That looks like Ditko work right there. And another mini ghost of Dr. Graves, #52. And it's covers like this. This is the second Charlton cover that I've seen that I just want to frame. Look at that werewolf, man. That looks like something right off of Eerie or Creepy or something. That's just awesome. I have a Baron Werewolf cover over there that I got a few months ago. That's, I just couldn't believe that came from Charlton. Then he sent me this, Where Creatures Roam, #4. Oh, man. Thank you so much, Steve. And then he also sent these magazines. Gil Kane's Savage magazine. Not going to talk a lot about this because I need to do my work, but, I passed this up back in the 70s, but it seems, I can't remember if it was paperbacks or what, but this character with Gil Kane, I'm just going to leave it at that until I do a little bit more research here. And he sent me some more heavy metal. Oh my gosh, look at this. Just great stuff. Love these covers. Look at that. Giant bats, dragons. They're not a dragon, it's this is some kind of goblin or demon with bat wings laying up there. Looks like they kicked its butt. See if I can get that in there better. Just love these covers. And I thought this was I think this is an H. Geiger, a Geiger cover. Deborah Harry from Blondie meets alien artist H.R. Geiger. Look at that. Oh, love those. And this one has an interview with the spirited artist Will Eisner, and I'll bring him back up in a minute. So, you know, there wasn't just more to heavy, there's more to heavy metal than just the comics. So that's going to be great. Alright, now I got these for $1 at an antique shop in a place called Withville, Virginia. And I couldn't believe what I found. These were $1 a piece. Now that we've shrunk down the load a little bit. We have Destroyer Jack number 3. This is probably my second or third copy of this. This is by Steve Gerber and Jack Kirby. And basically this book came out just to raise money for Steve Gerber to sue Marvel over the rights of Howard the Duck. Great series if you haven't ever checked it out. Right, I sent one of these to Constant Bromstar about 1.5 years ago. This is some one-shot called The Thing, She-Hulk, The Long Night with Dragon Man. And this has some of the best Brian Hitch artwork ever in it. If you're a Dragon Man fan, get it. It's got like sewers and kind of had a John Carpenter feel to me, you know, for me, you know, one of his movies or something. But She-Hulk, The Thing, like I said, it's been about 1.5 years since I've read it, but I couldn't believe I found another copy. I never heard this coming out, never, you know, it just kind of popped up, I think, you know. This thing came out probably around 2002, if I remember right. But check this out if you get it. This is a great little one-shot. Sorry about the glare. Now this is Cerebus Jam. I actually paid $1.25 for this one, but it's been marked down, and I've seen this off and on at the same flea market, and I finally opened it up. And basically in 1985, Dave Sim, who owned it, apparently put out this little series to get other artists to mess around with Cerebus and let them play. That's a Bill Sienkiewicz cover of Cerebus. And just to get to the point, he brought in Will Eisner to help out with the Cerebus story. So basically, I had to grab that. But Will Eisner has touched this art, and it's Cerebus meets the Spirit. So you Will Eisner fans out there, there you go. Cerebus Jam number 1. Okay, got Plop number 15. Love that series. Sergio Aragonés drawing Cain and Abel. Had to get this. I've heard so much about Dan Dare. I don't know if he's the Buck Rogers or Flash Gordon of England or whatever it is, but this is 2000 AD Presents number 7 with a Dan Dare story with art by Dave Gibbons, and it's got an Alan Moore story in it. So, and then I cannot believe I found these for $1. I sent number 1 to Constant Bromstar probably about 2 years ago. You know, because I had number 1 forever. I never found any more of these, but this is from Continuity Comics. This is their answer to Heavy Metal or Epic. But this is number 3, and it's got Larry Hama, Mike Golden doing Bucky O'Hare, Sue Dam's doing artwork in it, and some Neil Adams. That's number 3. I'm pleased as punch to get these. Okay, number 4. Just great, great stuff in here. Cannot believe I got these for $1. And number 9. And you know, I hate to say this, but you know, the talent kind of went down by this time. But you know, I mean, there's still some solid stuff in these. Alright, these were 50 cents a piece. I went to Boone, North Carolina, and that was a flop of a trip. But you know, I ended up finding some comics for 50 cents. A little bit closer to completing my Astro City, which I'll probably do a video here in a little bit. This is Astro City, The Dark Age. I think it's book 2, number 3. And you know, that's an Alex Ross cover. Let's put it closer so you can see the psychedelic colors he used. And there's a figure in there. But this was, I think, a 12-issue story, and he broke it up into 4-story arcs. It's the story of, you know, well, that's for another video, but there we go. This was Epic Comics. This is a Peter David, who just had a stroke in Florida. We wish him well. And George Perez doing some owned work, and it's Sex and Violence. And if you look at that real quick, it's Sex and Violence. There's the sex and there's the violence. And this is, you know, somewhere along the line in this series, George Perez drew some boobies, you know. Oh, some stuff's turned around. These were 50 cents. Starting with issue, I can't remember if it was 75 or 85 or something, Eric Larson decided to do an homage to Commandy, so he did This Savage Time. I think that's what it was called. The Savage Dragon. But anyway, but you had the post-apocalyptic world, and I don't remember where it ended, but I've been collecting these. If you're a Commandy fan, there's a little, like I said, there's a run here you want to get. Here's number 89. They can, doing a little homage to the Marvel banner there. And number 95. And what's strange is, I don't think a lot of Savage Dragon books are really worth a lot unless they have like a a Hellboy guest appearance or something. But man, they're hard to find. And I'm starting to collect these back up. I want at least the first 25 to 30 issues, and I've probably got some scattered. I read my brother's back in the day when this came out. This was 89, 90 when this came out. Mark Grunwald Quasar, number 1. And I had set my sights on this about a month ago, and it just blew my mind to find a number 1 again. But basically, this is just Cosmic Stories by Mark Grunwald, and great art by Paul Ryan. Just a fun little series. I think the first 3 years are pretty solid, in my opinion. Alright, could not believe I found this for 50 cents. I think this was like 89 or so. This is the Rocketeer Adventure magazine from Comico. Look at that great cover of the Rocketeer. I think I'm going to do a giant hand video where we just get all the covers that we have, and maybe do a tag video where you go through your comics and you get all the giant hand covers. This also has, who is it, Howard Chaykin? I don't remember. But it's got Dave Stevens doing his Rocketeer, and it's got Mike Coluda art in it as well. Uh-oh, looks like it froze up. So, yeah, 0 hour. Yeah, it's a 0 hour thing. Promo for when 0 hour came out, Hiding the Villain. We got number 3 of Quasar. Like I said, just a great little series. Number 5. Acts of Vengeance crossover. Got me Powers number 8. And I have no idea. This is Icon. I think they've done 3 or 4 volumes. I have no idea. I just grabbed this for 50 cents to make sure I had it. I may already have it. Okay, and I really enjoyed this, the last Doom Patrol series before they went into 52 by Keith Giffen. Kind of doing the helm. Here's number 17. Great stuff. Number 19, crossover with the Secret Six. I probably already had this, but I just didn't want to take the chance. So it was 50 cents. And number 22, which may be the last issue, thanks to a combination. I think, I don't know if this was a strong seller or not, but I really think they pulled the plug because of 52 coming. Alright, and in the late 80s, early 90s, John Byrne and Tom Palmer did X-Men The Hidden Years, and this was supposed to fill in the gaps between the X-Men around the 50s or so, all the way up to 94, what really happened, because around that time, all they did was really reprint old X-Men stories until Len Wein and Chris Claremont and Dave Cockrum all came on and brought us the all-new X-Men. Well, he was doing a retro series where it kind of filled in the gaps, what was going on there, and this is number 14. Yeah, the 12. This was a really cool maxi series that John Straczynski started, and they just quit at 8, and they're supposed to have been 12. And then they came back, and they got 9, 10, 11, 12 out. So I just need 10, 11, and 12. But basically, a bunch of these old Atlas heroes were storming the bunkers and stuff at the end of World War II, where Hitler was, and 12 of them got frozen in time, much like Captain America. Not in an iceberg or nothing. And then they were found and brought out of it in present day. So you have all these heroes who still, thinks it's 1945. How would the 12 do in today's time? It's really well done. Got this, Justice League of America. This is Breakdowns. This was the swan song of Keith Giffen and James DeMantis after being on the title, which would accumulate to 5 years. And I kind of like that. Lobo plus Despero equals, Justice League down there decimated. Tomorrow's Stories, 50 cents, number 12. They did a web story that Wildstorm or somebody, whoever's publishing this, wouldn't put out, and the book kind of disappeared from the stands around here, and I think there's only 12 of them, so. Completed my John Burns and X-Men run. I have all of them now. And Stray Bullets, number 12. David Lapham's little indie book that he did. Had his little company, El Capitan. That was really well done. If you can get these Stray Bullets and try to read them in order, it's like they're in the real world, and they start out in the 70s, and they kind of move forward with these characters. It's kind of like a crime comic, but it's everyday people and just mean people and stuff. And you know, there's some fantasy stories there, but when you read it as a whole, it's really good. All right, that was it, and later.